Lightworkers Unite is a podcast and social show hosted by intuitive women, lightworkers, and most importantly, friends, Mayuman Manjeet. Welcome to our podcast, where we believe there is a lightworker within all of us.
Whether you are a medium, an educator, or a nuclear technologist, there's a lightworker within you, and we have work to do.
This is a call to action.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. We're talking about Atlantis.
I'm exhausted today.
Oh,
I'm so tired. I don't know. Are you tired? How do you feel?
I was. Yes, I was. I'm a little better now, but I feel like I need a shoulder massage. I need someone to come in and so.
I know, I love shoulder massages. So today, here we go. We're going into the mystical, magical fantasy world episode.
I know, we're trying to do these once a month because we really want to do it all the damn time. I just don't know how many listeners were like, oh, seriously, Bigfoot, aliens, and mermaids.
Yeah.
But I do think this is fun stuff. This is
yeah.
fun stuff. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think, I think that all of these things too, there is some science here, right? There is some history here. And it's like, I think we're finding more and more like science fiction is becoming reality in our world, like flying up into space and like discovering all these things and like even underwater, cities, underwater, places like Atlantis, like we're going to talk about today.
Civilizations.
Yes.
Underwater civilizations.
Yes. Right. And I mean, it kind of feels like a little bit like the mermaid episode. So if you're really into like underwater stuff, you might really enjoy that episode too, because we talk about mermaids and all kinds of shit. It gets real crazy up in there. Which I feel like this one might as well. I don't know.
It's kind of it's in there. It's in there. But like you said, the science aspect of it, I mean, geologically, there's scientists that are fascinated by this possibility or myth, and some feel like they've found it. You want to talk? Let's dive in. No pun intended.
What do you think? What do you think? Do you think Atlantis was real? Or maybe we should start with what is Atlantis? Let's back it up.
How about this? What is the legend of Atlantis? I'm going to read this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see if this. The legend of Atlantis is a story about a moral, spiritual people who lived in a highly advanced utopian civilization, but they became greedy, petty, and morally bankrupt, and the gods became angry because the people had lost their way and turned to immortal pursuits. Is that right? But so why was it destroyed? So they believe that the civilization reached its peak between 1,000,000 and 900,000 years ago, but destroyed itself through internal warfare brought about by the dangerous use of psychic and supernatural powers of the inhabitants.
Yeah.
Is that what you know?
Yes. That is the legend, right? That is the history.
Legend.
That they were this really advanced, super technologically advanced spiritual group of people that absolutely royally fucked themselves.
Yeah.
And that is, kind of the scary part.
I know. And then what happened?
Well,
and then the water, so there's talk about the water raised, or did the land sink?
Yes. Well, and there's I think it's both. I feel like if you're looking at it from the god's perspective of punishment, then I think the waters came up and enveloped it. But I've also read a lot of stuff about Atlantis where they used technology and it actually imploded and ruined their grounding. So they actually did sink, and that they had infrastructure in the water that became dangerously, unstable. And so, there's kind of like this really, ancient mystery around these super, super smart, advanced beings that lived here on this planet, that just didn't, make it.
Do I dare say it? Am I going to say it?
You're going to say it.
Are we talking about aliens? to crack ourselves up. I'm cracking myself up.
Yeah.
Highly evolved beings, inhabitants. That isn't it
Yeah.
crazy? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and there's lots of really crazy stories about Atlantis that, the Anunnaki, got involved, and like all these extraterrestrial races were got involved to, like it was kind of like this global war, this
Mm-hmm.
intergalactic kind of war to protect these people or to not. It's almost like this, like they had broken some spiritual law, you know, and they had to suffer the consequences of that.
Pay for
And
it.
greed,
Wow.
yes, greed and all
Yeah.
these things are really prevalent, which really hasn't. I mean, we haven't really changed that. Like, in our civilization right now, I mean, we still are, slowly leading to the destruction of this planet, right? With global warming and plastics and
Mm-hmm.
garbage and
Mm-hmm.
fossil fuels. And I mean, we're not doing that great of a job. I'm
Right.
just
I know.
saying.
Right? I know. And it's a worry. And I find it interesting that there are people, different people that you'll talk to or you hear about that are really scared and fearful of global
Yeah.
warming and scared that, oh my gosh, this earth will not be sustainable for us to live in anymore. And then you
Yeah.
have the other side of like, that is just bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like they don't have
Yeah.
any concept of anything happening. This is a planet. This is, it's all natural and it will be here forever and it might change and morph, but it's still going to be
Mm.
livable.
Yeah.
But I don't know who's right. And I sometimes think, and this is me being really woo woo, those people that have that fear are super connected and may know something, that fear something that they've either already lived through in a past life where they've seen a civilization go under.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at like, no, no, no. And it's part of their DNA or part of their makeup in that fear of something that is very real to them. I, I,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I tend to look at people that way and I don't, it's not black and white like, oh, you're just uneducated and you're over dramatic and you need to be medicated or you're depressed. I feel like a lot of things are going on with the soul now, right? I just
Yeah.
see people differently. So I was talking to someone who was very fearful of whether or not life here on this planet and in this area
Mm.
was going to in her lifetime. She's mid 50s and she's already looking for a place to live because she's afraid it may all come crashing, you know.
Mm.
I know. Interesting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, and I think you make a good point in that. I mean, especially with this pandemic, we're in crisis mode for sure on the planet. And so I wonder if that's why too we're kind of like really gravitating to this topic of Atlantis, where this, society just self-imploded because they were not being conscious of their environment or their surroundings, or kind of breaking some of these like sacred laws and honoring our planet
Yeah.
and our people, so it's just and I do really resonate with your theory about connectedness with past lives, like people have maybe been in that environment or been a part of that environment, and they have maybe an irrational fear of being drowned, right? Of drowning. They may
Correct.
feel like,
Yeah.
and that's why like this is very triggering for them when they see global warming and us imploding, because those are the signs, those are the things that were
Yes.
happening. Like Atlantis didn't fall overnight, it was a progression of really bad decisions, according to the legends
The
that
legend. Yeah.
right that led to their demise. And so, if you were a part of that, your DNA remembers, right, that this
Right.
this happened, and it's somewhere under the sea.
Yeah. That's what they're saying. And so where does Plato play a role in this? Because it's his myth. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Plato's infamous myth, which has captivated audiences for more than 2,300 years.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I want to read this. The gods sent a battalion of fire and earthquakes so intense that the utopian kingdom of Atlantis sank deep into the ocean, never to be found again. So
Yeah.
tells Plato's infamous myth.
Right.
So, yeah. So
It's
do you
somewhere
believe it
between,
exists?
yeah, they say it's the modern Gibraltar, right? The in between Spain and Morocco, like somewhere in there in that magical
Mm-hmm.
area, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think this doesn't work, right? Atlantis doesn't work if you believe in traditional civilization, religious, like people like we're like the Christian platform, right? It doesn't resonate. It can't work
Right.
because right, we're talking about a civilization long before Christianity and all of that, right? So
Mm.
it's kind of a touchy subject, right? Because people that have a very strong belief in their religion or civilization, this kind of breaks that paradigm. It makes you think, oh no, this is all just a bunch of bullshit. It's all like a legend,
A legend, a myth. Yeah.
yes,
Someone
a
made it
myth.
up. Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
what I find
But
really fascinating, oh, what were you going to say?
nope, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say what I find really fascinating is yes, it is listed as like a legend, but there are so many underwater cities that we're finding now, like in the Bahamas,
Exactly.
we're finding 15 feet below the water, this like huge, like ancient city, Cuba. We're seeing, what does it say? They put down those remote vehicles to investigate,
Yep.
and these images are coming up and they're like huge stones on top of each other,
Right.
90-degree angled rocks, I mean strategic like structures, right? And volcanic ash tells us that the city sank 6,000 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's just a very, and of course India, that's a huge one because there's sonar images that we've been able to find going down deep, that have civilized, like it's there's cities, and they found
Yes.
artifacts and pottery and wood shards and
Right.
like all kinds of shit that you're thinking this couldn't have this couldn't these people could not have existed. But now we're seeing that wow, there are remnants of these powerful dwellings. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Are we still, did you talk about the one that's outside of Greece? The city of, I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, Pavlopetri? Pavlopetri?
Oh no.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so the underwater off the coast of southern Laconia, in Peloponnese, Greece, is about 5,000 years old, making it one of the oldest submerged lost cities, as well as the oldest in the Mediterranean Sea.
Mm, wow.
And they show photos of this. And this is the one that I was watching. I don't know if it was on Netflix or somewhere on TV that I had found it. And they're underwater scuba divers, photos of these dwellings under
Yes.
deep underwater. It's
Yeah.
just fascinating. I'm going to show you one right now. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy
Right?
because, you know, we are seeing all of these things in Peru as well, like at Lady
Yes.
Titicaca. That sounds dirty. I want to say it again, but I'll spare you. I mean,
Please
it's like
say it again. Please say it again.
a Lake Titicaca. Jesus. How old are we?
I know.
Honestly.
I know. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my
Just
God. But I love that because it's like, 100 feet like of water, you'll see paved roads and terraces and stonework. And like uh,
right.
the Amara Indians tell us that this lake was the place of Genesis. It holds the seeds of the stars. Like they have this history of these, sacred places that they connect with star systems, which takes
Mm.
us to what?
Aliens.
Sorry, sorry, but I mean, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hello. Right. And we
And
talked about
that's,
this already in the mermaid episode about the
yeah,
sightings of UFOs or
yes.
flashes of lights going in and out of the ocean. So come on.
Yes, yes, and Peru is that Lake Titicaca is known. It is known for like so many like temperature changes and lots of lights coming in and out of
Hmm.
there. It's kind of like
So
one of these
crazy.
really magical, mystical places that makes you go, "What the heck is going
What?
on here?" Like I just
Yeah.
think I know this is supposed to be like a magical kind of mysterious, and it is, but I just feel like there's just a lot of stuff we don't know about what's
We
happened
just don't know.
underwater.
And clearly, I mean, why is it a legend? Is it
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it was debunked because people, Plato shared the story and then people heard it and then you had all these people saying,
Mm,
That's ridiculous." So it gets completely debunked and put aside and said, this is just made up story. This
mm.
is just a myth. It is not true. And then that carries on and carries on. And then you get some more people who are a little bit more curious and they want to dive in, and the historians want to find out a little bit more about this myth. And I think the longer we go and the more that starts to show up for us, like you said, on this planet, all of a
Mhm.
sudden we're finding these underground. So going back, it
Yeah.
just, again, just poses that question like, we don't know. Maybe that maybe that wasn't just a legend, and maybe out of fear, people were, I keep saying debunked, and I don't even like that word, but people probably just wanted to squash it and discount it and say it to because they were scared and they didn't want to have people be in fear
Right.
of this story of
Yeah.
aliens that lived here once before us and then were destroyed by gods. But was it gods? Was it maybe
Are they
from aliens
gods?
from another planet that came in and
Exactly.
said, "You can't be here anymore"? So there you go.
Yeah. Or you guys are crazy. You all crazy ass people. What are you
Yeah.
doing? Like,
Hmm.
I mean, and that's where I think I agree. It's like, I know in India, Dwarka, which is like, it's like one of the Hindu sacred lands. It's in all
Hmm.
of the religious,
Hmm.
documents. And it's a place where Lord Krishna, um, lived, right? And in the ancient text, this is where a big battle took place. And in that battle, they describe like chariots of fire in the sky, sounds, um, a battle like chariots, all and weapons of bolts of lightning and thunder, like, and they've actually found like radioactive remnants in that area. So it
Really?
sounds like this nuclear potentially war with these
Wow.
extraterrestrial beings. And so there, that's always been something I grew up with forever. Like, oh, it's this fictional place, kind of thing. And they found
Yeah.
that underwater with
Yeah.
sonar imaging, exactly in the same place as the documents would have said, this is where, this is where Krishna left and the city went underwater.
Hmm.
So it just
Hmm.
it's kind of like, wow, that's kind of weird that it's actually in that area. We just didn't have the science or the technology to find it right that deep and
Right.
underwater.
That
Yeah,
long ago, right? That's
yeah,
why everything's like an old wives' tale or a myth,
yeah.
legend, just
Or
word of
religious
mouth, and then it.
documents in this case, right? Like it's a
Correct.
religious,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Let's see. Yeah.
And it kind
It's
of like
weird.
it kind of sounds a lot like our mermaid episode where we are kind of talking about how little we know, right, of our underwater world, right? Like
Oh, it's
it's
so scary and so fascinating at the same time. I mean, it's kind of
yes,
freaky. I don't
it
know, but I
is.
love
It's
it.
and I think that's what, it's kind of exciting for us is that as technology is starting to grow and learn, we're kind of saying, wow, maybe there's a lot. I mean, and there's so much of the earth that we don't, or the oceans that we don't know. We actually, we know very, very little about our underwater
Very,
world
very little.
here. It's very
Yeah.
difficult to get there. It's pressurized. And
Yeah.
it hasn't been really a priority for a lot of, places. So,
Yeah.
Space has been more interesting
Wild.
for people to go to, right? Like,
Yeah. And little do we know that it's kind of tied to one another.
yeah.
I mean, and then how many, oh, I'm just talking now. We're just you and me, Manji, just talking. But think about, and people are listening. But think about the other planets that we haven't gone to yet that have large bodies of water.
Mm,
There's got to be, right? And
yeah.
I'm so fascinated. I know it may not be in my time, maybe not in my children's time, but we're going to learn more as we grow
Yeah.
and progress and science gets better. And people like you and me who have an interest. I mean, hopefully, there are people that do have an interest, so they're looking and looking. But how far can they go without society or a government or somebody,
Hmm.
Big Brother who's watching saying, you can't say that. You can't
Yeah.
write that. You can't film that
Yeah.
because of the fear that would transcend, like the fear that would
Yeah.
overtake a lot of people. Hence, mermaids, right? That
Yes.
whole special. People are
Absolutely.
like, hell no, there's no such thing. Because if they ever found out that there was, there'd be people would freak out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like we're gonna be getting like the Men in Black knocking on our doors after this episode. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
like,
I think I don't know. I've always been really and I don't know, tell me what you think of this, but I've always been very, very connected to Atlantis. I don't know why. But I've always had this very um and I'm sure a lot of people do, this civilization. It just feels very interesting. It feels like very homey, like when I see like images of people's rendition of what Atlantis would be. It
mm,
feels like really homey. It feels like, oh, I understand this group. I understand these people. Um, I feel like our skin color was different. If I
wow.
when I channel into that energy of Atlanteans, I feel like we were a different color. We were like a bluey kind of creamy
I was
color.
just going to say, like a, okay.
So I feel like that I can feel that. And I also have this really irrational fear of drowning. Like I just I
I didn't know
feel,
that.
yeah, I love water, but I will not go in deep water.
Get out of
I
town.
just, yeah, I get very, very
Get
uncomfortable.
out.
Yeah.
Who
And I
are
won't
you?
even
I don't even know you. That's a huge thing. I've been camping with you. I've been on a boat with you. Wait, hold on.
we've been in the water together. Yeah. In
I've
our floaties.
never, I've never
Yeah.
known that.
Yeah, I just
Wow.
have this really weird feeling like when I see really, really deep water, like even on TV when they're doing like those deep dives,
Yeah.
I kind of like catch my breath. Like I just feel like, oh God, like I get instantly
Hmm.
afraid. So it's
Yeah.
it's really, but I love being around the water. I love, we live in the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest. We're right by the water. I love
Oh,
that
I love it.
energy. I love being around there. And I grew up, being born in England, like surrounded by like lots of water, and I'm used to that. But I'm absolutely terrified that I would drown. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. That, no, I think it's fascinating. And it's fascinating that we're talking about this uh, in our podcast recording. I had no idea.
I know when
I'm
I see those
also,
underwater cities, I get really
oh,
freaked out. I see those underwater
freaked out.
cities, I get really like,
Hmm.
oh yeah. Like there's one in Greece off the coast you were just talking about. I've seen
Yes.
pictures. I feel like I was like, oh my God, I know that. Like it just feels like I've been there. And it's just the weirdest
Wow.
thing. Yeah. Have you
Yeah.
ever felt
No, I love it. Well, yeah, we talked about it. I felt that in
that? Mhm.
Savannah, Georgia.
Oh my God.
Not necessarily underwater, but I will say
Yeah.
this. I am drawn to water, and I part
Mm.
of it is because of my element is fire, and so
Mhm.
I think it grounds me. And I go through phases where I need to be near water, and
Mm.
then I go through phases where I don't. But I typically love being on the water. I love boating. I love swimming. And there's times where I want to dive deeper and where I want to just keep swimming deeper, deeper, but I know that I will drown and die, so I don't. But I
Wow.
want to, like, if I could breathe. And I'm surprised, but yet I say this, but there's a fear, and it's not a fear of drowning. It's just a fear, like of what's
Mm.
down there. That's for
Oh,
me. But yet I want to swim towards it. So I'm really fucked up.
oh,
So I want to
no.
like dive, I want to go deep, and then it gets dark, I can't see anymore and I can't breathe, so I turn around. But there's this pull of getting deeper. So I am all aboard at those shows. Like, yes, get the camera.
Mm.
Come on. Go deeper. Let's see what's down there. What's down there? I want to see. I want to see. I'm dying to go deeper. So,
Yeah. So you're
but
like it's alluring to you.
it's alluring. Like I want to
Mm.
see it. I want to get down there, but it scares me at the same time. Right? It's
Yeah.
scary. It's unknown, but I'm so intrigued and kind of drawn. Like I want to travel there. So maybe it's going home, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe I lived there and everything was fine. Maybe you lived there and you drowned. And that's
Yeah.
right. And so
Yeah.
therefore
No,
the
and
water,
it
yeah.
what's so weird, right, about this, and I don't really think I ever put this together, but um, they say that the city was engulfed by a tsunami, right? Potentially, right?
Hmm.
And I have
Atlantis.
always Atlantis, yeah,
Oh,
right. Like
yeah.
it could have been
A
a
water.
tsunami
Yeah.
or like from the gods or from
Yeah.
geography,
Sure.
just a natural phenomenon. Um, but I have had this recurring nightmare of a
Oh, yeah.
tsunami. Remember? I think it's in our one of our
We did
dream
talk about. Hmm.
episodes. And
Hmm.
I didn't even know that that was a thing, a big wall of water coming at me. And until, we had seen it on the news, like there was a
Hmm.
tsunami, um, off the coast of, oh gosh, where was that? The first one, the big
It
one.
was in Phuket, Thailand.
Yes, in Thailand. And I was like, oh my God, that shit's real. Like I was
Oh yeah.
totally like floored. And so as we're talking about Atlantis, even now, I'm like, oh my God, like that tsunami, that feeling of like a wall of water, just like it's just suffocating to me. It feels like, oh,
Oh,
yikes, yikes. So
scary. Yeah, it is.
I don't
That's
know.
it's well, first of all, it's scary for everyone. And what's funny that you should say that Amanda is always talks about being afraid of dying in a tsunami. You know, and her,
Really?
of course, her sisters make fun of her, like, "What, Amanda? Like, why would you say that?" Like, we're, and then that happened in Thailand. How about John and I were in Phuket back in 2000? In 2000, actually, we
Oh,
traveled to Thailand,
jeez.
spent 3 days in Phuket on the beach
Oh, God.
before, yeah. And so when we talk about like, oh my God, what happened there was awful,
Mm.
so sad and so scary, and that
Yeah.
really happened.
So I don't know if you and I don't know, maybe if our listeners, I'd be really curious to hear like your thoughts. What do you have like this, does anybody else have this kind of strange love, kind of hate, fear relationship with water? Like I'm just so fascinated because there
Me
are
too.
so many civilizations that are buried underwater now. They no
Right,
longer
right.
exist. There's not a home for us
Yeah,
to connect to. So I'm just so fascinated to hear other people if they have any kind of connection. Cuba,
yeah.
Bermuda Triangle, Japan,
Greece.
fucking Greece,
Mhm.
Tokyo, India. I mean, these aren't, the Andes, like Peru. I mean, it's not just like a one shot deal, right? It's
Correct.
all over.
Yes, correct. Well, that's why it's so cool to talk about Atlantis because it was such a legend, a myth, and like, oh, ha ha ha. And everyone kind of made fun of it, like the cool story. And then now they're finding all of these underwater civilizations. So it's not really that far-fetched. And
Right?
it's really not.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's like, wow, why haven't we found it yet? I mean, unless there people are wondering if the one off the side of Greece is Atlantis, in
Mm,
fact. But
yeah.
anyway, I need to read into that a little bit more. It gets kind of eerie for me. When I
Mm,
read about it, I don't know why. I just like again,
really?
I'm drawn to it, but it's scary. It's a
Mm.
weird, it's sickening actually. It's kind of like, the looky-loos that look at a train wreck. You're like, oh, it's awful, but
Oh,
I'm staring. I
wow.
can't stop looking at it. Or watching
Interesting.
pimple poppers.
Yeah.
Those disgust. I hate this. It's disgusting. I can't stop fucking watching it. So it feels I want to
Oh,
dive into the water. I want to keep swimming down, but I am petrified of what I'm going to see. And it's not of
wow.
drowning. I have had
No.
lots of dreams of drowning, but I'm not
Wow.
afraid of it. So there's a difference, right?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to drown. I almost feel like
Wow.
it'd be magical. Like, I don't
Really?
know. I know.
Oh my God. I feel so scary to me.
I
Oh my
don't, I'm
God.
sure gasping for air and flailing in the water, drowning would
Yeah.
be absolutely terrifying. But there's something about, I see
Mm.
myself like, taking it all in and allowing my body just to completely sink.
Disappear.
It's,
Oh,
we're getting
you
really
know,
morbid now.
well, but I really like that. I do love that. And they actually say, right, drowning is like the silent killer. It's not like you're flailing. Like
Yeah.
somebody, and that actually happened to me. I was at a pool and there was this little boy. He was kind of down by my feet. I was sitting at the edge of the pool and he just kind of was there. And then all of a sudden he wasn't. And I just, for whatever reason, I just kind of looked down and he looked so
Oh my
peaceful, but
God.
I was like, no, this doesn't, everything, ding, like
Yes.
my
Yeah.
alarm bells were going off, but he wasn't flailing. He wasn't doing anything. And I just reached down like this and I just
And
grabbed him by the
grabbed.
arm and he went, and he just like he was drowning. And I was
Oh,
like, holy
shit.
shit. Cause
How
so
old
it
were
is,
you?
this was about probably like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I
Oh
was with the
my
girls.
God.
We were all just sitting at
In
the
a
pool,
in a pool.
in
Oh
a
my
pool.
God,
It was
that's
like
so
at a
scary.
resort or something,
Yeah.
And I just remember like, this little boy and and then but that's the thing that scared me was it wasn't like what I thought drowning would be like, like this
Yeah.
flailing and the
Yeah.
scary, like, help me. It was just like this
Yes.
gone, exactly like how you
Yes.
just described it. Like I'm just filling
Yeah.
my lungs and I'm gone.
Yeah.
And it was just the weirdest thing. And and the mom was like, how did you know? Like she was sobbing, she was like, what
Oh
the,
my God.
my kid knows how to swim. I was like, I don't know. I
So
just,
scary.
it just looked wrong. It felt wrong, actually. It didn't really look like much other than just he was playing underwater. But I just was like, this doesn't, yeah, it was
Yeah.
very strange.
Thank
But I don't
God you
want to,
saved his life.
yeah, little sucker.
You saved his life, Manjeet.
Yeah.
All these things I don't know anything about you. Who are you?
I am an Atlantean, just visiting. I'm just visiting. Okay. A little
Oh
scared of
my
water.
God. Yeah.
And savor of drowning kids. It's fucking Jesus.
Oh my
Oh my God,
God.
it's so bizarre. I know, it's
That's
so weird. How
awesome.
did we get here? I love this
I don't know.
conversation. This is
It's
so
fun.
much fun.
That's why we decided to record our silly conversations.
I
Because
hope
who
that,
else can
yeah,
sit and talk about this shit with me?
I
You
know.
know?
I mean, it's
Yeah,
fascinating. And I
I
wonder,
love it.
like, I'm
Mhm.
sure other people, right, are intrigued by underwater civilizations or, you know, so many sacred places that have just been like wiped off of the map. But it
Mhm.
is kind of, I know what you mean when you say, like, I feel like we're watching kind of a train wreck because it feels really haunting, right? To look at all
Right.
this underwater footage of like
Yeah.
streets and like, like
Yeah.
stone walls and shit. I mean, this isn't
Yeah.
like, like just like a dirt road or something that just got washed away. This is like people
Yeah.
lived,
Structures.
yeah.
People live there. Yeah.
It was very,
True.
it does seem very haunting and almost like a violation or feels kind of like creepy, like, "Ooh,
Mhm.
what are we
Mhm.
looking at here?
Almost like a haunted house. No.
Yes.
Well, those old so like deserted towns and deserted
Yeah.
buildings that have been deserted for hundreds of years are creepy to me as well. Not just
Yeah.
because of the energy, just because, like you said, because people used to live there. It used
Yeah.
to be hustle and bustle and humans and families working and having
Yeah.
relationships, and then it's all wiped away. And here are the remnants of
Yes.
their story. So
Yes.
Atlantis is remnants of a story that apparently was, decided to be tagged as legend. But I think that no, now we're starting to find out that they really did exist, these civilizations underwater. Whether or not they were aliens, that inhabited Atlantis, maybe other people would be like, come on. But I'm
Yeah.
going to say, why the fuck not?
Yeah. Well, I
Why
think
not?
the giveaway for me, like to make the connection for alien, inhabitants in Atlantis is the fact that it was an advanced, highly technological city. It was beyond
Yeah,
what we have even now. Like they were
that's
beyond. And so
right.
that doesn't feel, I mean, it feels like alien technology, right? It doesn't feel like
Yep,
it came from this planet because we still don't have that shit. So great. So
correct.
that's when you put all those pieces together of the myth and the folklore or whatever you want to call it, how could they be this advanced civilization that's self, imploded
Yeah,
without,
that's right. Yeah. That's why they had to get rid of it because it doesn't jive or fall in alignment with the trajectory of this planet and the species that we are. So who
yeah,
knows? They're
yeah.
like,
So
dude, you have
we're
to come back in about, 3 billion years.
yeah, yeah. Some aliens are like, okay, Atlanteans, you're way before your time. You kind of
Yeah.
jumped the gun. Stop overachieving. Settle down. Let's implode your asses. I don't know. And who actually said that?
Right?
Who knows, right? But
They were going to
it's
wipe you from history so everyone knows that it was just a myth. You didn't really exist. But yeah, come back again in
see you
about
soon.
30 billion years. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Oh my God, you are
I
so funny.
I love you. I love
I
you
love
so
this.
much. And I
I
love that
love you
you
too.
let us like, I mean, this is just all out there, but I'm just saying, I really, this is like a massive call, like for our audience, anyone who's listening, if you have any kind of affinity for underwater civilizations or you feel any kind of connection, we would love to hear about it, right? We'd
I
love to
do.
hear that
Yeah.
and I want to know that I'm not crazy.
You are not crazy, sister. Look at me. I want to drown. That's pretty.
My God, I know.
I love this. Yeah. Hopefully,
Oh,
we didn't lose anybody where they're like, I can't listen to those two dimwits any longer and their mystical topics. But, yes, please do share with us. We'd love to hear from you.
yes, yes. And thank you so much for this awesome, awesome time, my sister. I hope you are all doing well. We hope to see you at, boy, we have a goddess gathering
Oh my
coming
gosh.
up.
Yeah, let's talk about what's coming up. Goddess
We
Gathering this Wednesday.
Yes, it's going to be super exciting. We are going to be talking about invoking Shakti, which is a beautiful Hindu goddess who is very, very, very powerful and transformational. So
Yes.
this is where we're going to really invoke some power, self-empowerment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going
Yeah.
to be amazing, and it's a full house. We sold every seat, so that's fantastic. So we're
Yes.
really looking forward to that. Our next one is next month, and that is with Goddess Gula. Correct?
Yes.
Saying that? Yes, and she is
Yes.
the goddess of healing. Again,
Yes.
this is going to be amazing. So, if you have not attended one of our goddess gatherings and you're intrigued or interested and want to give it a go, we do have 2 spots left in next month's goddess
Oh, that's
gathering.
right. Wow, I'm
Two
filling up
spots.
quick, man.
We're filling up quick, and
Jeez.
that is on September 22nd, Wednesday nights. And then I also want to do a little plug also for the last goddess gathering that we have in this series.
Oh, yes.
It's the Harvest Moon Goddess Gathering on the full moon of October 20th. This one, hold on to your seats, is going to be in
Yay!
person.
Right.
And hopefully, if things carry on, that we can still hold it in person. I didn't even think about that, man.
I'm feeling optimistic though.
yeah,
I'm feeling like we
me too.
have to, we're hopefully going to be on the mend and having an opportunity we have the goblets that have come in,
Yep,
glassware
pass those
that
out.
has our Manji Mayum Lightworkers Unite. So you could purchase those online as well, for your own, drinking pleasure.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Or bring it to the gathering. Yeah.
Yes, and that'll be very magical. We have lots of seats left still for that one because that one we're holding more people. It's
Yes.
not just limited to 10. So that will be really super fun. If anything that you're going to get out of it is joining other like-minded women, having a beautiful spiritual experience, and a lot of laughter and wine. I mean, you can't beat that, right?
Yeah, and we'll be announcing who the goddess is next in the next couple of months, because we'll
That's
be
right. Yeah.
invoking a very special god. I mean, they're all pretty badass, aren't they?
They are badass, yeah.
Unbelievable. But we will be kind of tapping
Announcing.
into yes, and announcing who we're going to invoke for our live in-person meeting. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and you'll get special readings from that goddess for your life and what's going on with you. So that's what you can expect at these goddess gatherings. So
yay!
Can't
so
wait.
Excited.
I can't wait. You're amazing. Thank
You're
you
amazing.
for talking about Atlantis.
Thanks. This is awesome. Here's to Atlantis and all us Atlanteans, correct?
Yay!
All right. Take care, sis. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.